Buenos días, buenas tardes, y buenas noches. Bonjour, bonsoir. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. Jay Slater Case. And it is June 19th. June 19th. And for this video, I want to focus on what I think is a very curious and, on the surface, not too meaningful development in the case. And that is specifically Debbie Duncan in her recent interview with the Daily Mirror made it be known that she's kind of come to an agreement with Lucy that they are now going to become friends again, I guess. That it's all water under the bridge, whatever disagreements they had, whatever bad blood that was between them, that is over. That they are now going to try to, I guess, push a reset button and make this work. But it's surprising because it's been a while. We're now into year three of this case. And you would have thought that Lucy and Debbie Duncan had more than once gone through every single aspect of what happened to Jay. And so that there could be no confusion about who did what and who was right to do what and who might have been wrong to do what they didn't do, etc., etc. This is the point that is rather baffling to me. It's how could any new information come up now? And that's what startled me when Debbie said to the interviewer, the Mirror interviewer, she said, yeah, Lucy recently told me information I never even knew. And I'm thinking, how is that possible? What new information, big enough information that would have brought you back together, reconciled your feelings for one another? What big enough information could that have been that, suddenly popped up recently? I can't think of anything. If it's something of that importance, you would assume Debbie had learned about it the first few days that she was over in Tenerife. I'm assuming, and I shouldn't do, that Debbie spoke to Lucy several times over extended periods, minute by minute, going through what happened when Jay was over there. So, what possible new information could have popped up of late? I don't know. And that's why I'm calling it out as bullshit. I actually think Debbie's newfound affection or warm feelings for Lucy isn't what's happening here. I suspect it is an unholy alliance, a pact, a deal made between two parties that have basically come to the conclusion they could both hurt each other significantly if they wanted. So maybe the best thing to do is to let's push honesty and the truth out the window. Not the first time that's happened in this case, I would suggest. And let's just pretend that everything is okay between us. Put it out through the media that there's no beef between Lucy and Debbie now. But there was, we were told, they didn't really have much to say to each other for the longest time. And now that is all over. Change of subject slightly before I go into this. Chosen background of the day, just a reminder for those that may have slipped your mind. A long, long time ago, back in Northampton, this is from the Northampton Gazette, certain person, what does it say here? Ivor Lovelace, 24, gives the address there, East Street when he was in Northampton. Didn't Ayub used to live in Northampton? Aren't these two Northampton boys? I mean, can't be at the same time, surely. Ayub's still relatively young and Ivor quite the old man in many ways. Yeah, but just a reminder, the court case where, what is it mentioned? The accusation against Ivor, well, and Leanne Holden. It says she was 18. She was 18, he was 24. Huh, only a 6 year difference there. How Mr. Lovelace, I would suggest, has changed his ways. Only 6 years difference there. Yeah, mentions, if I get my fat head out of the way, mentions burglary, I think, receiving stolen property, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Prosecution in the end didn't go ahead with the case. But if you're one of those that says no smoke without fire, yeah, maybe. If you're one of those that says, given the fullness of time, we have seen how Mr. Ivor Lovelace reacts, what kind of person he is, and this really doesn't fit what we see because he is a paragon of virtue, a very good person these days, that this is rather quite shocking, misspent youth or whatever it was. Yeah, that is one way of looking at this. I digress. Back to the Lucy and Debbie relationship. Well, actually, let's start at the beginning. The GoFundMe. The GoFundMe. You see, I see Debbie as trying to have this relationship, Lucy and Debbie, two different ways. On the one hand, Debbie will tell us that Lucy's very responsible. Lucy is an adult. Lucy does have, you know, good head on her shoulders. She knows exactly what she's doing. She's mature beyond her years. I think we get that feeling from Debbie. Lucy did everything right. Lucy called the police, etc., etc. Yeah, so the 18-year-old is very adult like in many ways. And yet also we get from the same person, Debbie Duncan, that, well, Lucy was just a kid. She didn't really know what she was doing or what she was supposed to do. She was only 18 herself. So these two worlds, Lucy, the very responsible mother hen, Lucy, the little kid that didn't really know what to do and what should have been done, these exist at one and the same time. The GoFundMe is a good example of how it's strange to me that you have the 18-year-old that is setting up a GoFundMe, not for herself, not for her mother, not for anyone that's within her immediate family, but the mother of a friend that just went missing. And my question here is, and there may be simple answers. It may be that I don't know how GoFundMe's work, but why is the 18-year-old friend of the person that went missing setting up the GoFundMe, the beneficiary of which is another person, the mother? Doesn't it work that the mother of the boy that went missing would set up the GoFundMe for herself and her family? I'm just a bit perplexed why this third party is the one that's doing all this, especially when the third party is a kid. It just seems off to me. I mean, we talk about Zach the silent brother. Wouldn't it be kind of more impactful if the brother had said, I'm setting up this GoFundMe for my mother, for my family, for me, because my nearest and dearest, my brother has gone missing in Tenerife. Um, I mean, again, I shouldn't assume this, but I assume that Debbie Duncan must have given her permission. An 18-year-old kid isn't going to set up a GoFundMe in someone else's name, an adult's name, and just assume that that's okay, is she? I mean, at some point, Lucy must have, I would suggest that she said to Debbie, this is what I plan to do. This is what I want to do. You're okay with it, aren't you? Or tell me, is this the right thing to do? Or do you think Lucy just did it because as an 18-year-old, that's what you have to do. It's the right thing to do. Don't consult any adult. Just get this GoFundMe going. They'll surely be fine with it. Because if I'm right that Lucy must have asked Debbie if this is okay, Debbie must have said yes. At that point, Debbie had yes or no to say. So Debbie's whole, well, I didn't set it up. Well, I never asked for these funds. Well, this wasn't my idea. Well, that's all true. But very shortly before the GoFundMe was launched, Debbie, you must have said, yes, I agree. And once you said, yes, you agree, you abide by it, you're part of it, you own it, I would think. And then we have this bizarre moment where I think it was Rach, it might have been Debbie, but I think it was Rach, even said the GoFundMe isn't needed. So in that conversation, Lucy to Rach, is Lucy saying, well, it is needed, Rach. Rach, a GoFundMe is needed, believe me. And Rach is like, no, it's not. Oh, I see what you mean, Lucy. Yeah, the GoFundMe is needed, isn't it? Yes, it is needed. Is that what was going on here? Because to my mind, if Rach says it's not needed, Rach is Debbie's best friend. She just tells the kid, "Listen, nice idea, kid, but you don't need it. It's not gonna help anything." Yeah, the GoFundMe. The 18-year-old kid sets it up. The 50-something mother agrees to it. Best friend of mother says it's actually not needed, but it goes ahead. Strange. Yeah, Lucy, 18-year-old, very, very adept at getting this GoFundMe rolling. Not so adept at actually getting in a taxi and going up to save her friend. Again, Debbie looks at Lucy as too young and experienced to figure out how to save her son's life. But she also looks upon this 18-year-old as wise enough, adult enough, mature enough to get a GoFundMe set up. That's the world we live in with Lucy and Debbie. And then we come to the question of why the lies in the GoFundMe. Why is it that Lucy decided to lie? How would it have changed anything if Lucy had told the truth? There must be a reason for the lies. When Lucy says, "I was woken up at 8 o'clock or 8:30, whatever it was, from a phone call from Jay," why did she lie about that? Why not just tell the truth? That it was a mutual friend who had spoken to Jay on FaceTime or via WhatsApp or video that called me to say Jay was in trouble. Why did Lucy make that conscious decision to remove that mutual friend from the whole scenario? Well, you could say because it complicates it. We haven't got all day to read a GoFundMe blurb. We just want the outline. We don't need to know how many people are involved or who is what. Well, on the one hand, yeah, but it doesn't add much to the blurb to say a mutual friend called me to report Jay in trouble. I think the problem here is, remember, Brandon is the silent one. Brandon's name must be left out. And I would assume Brandon would not have countenanced not only his name, but his presence in the GoFundMe. I don't think it's necessarily a lie by accident that just popped up there. I think when Lucy thought about it, she realized it all had to be this GoFundMe blurb about her and Jay. No one else, Brad, Brandon, anyone should be mentioned. Not really because it complicates it, but just because if other people are mentioned and if their role is mentioned, it looks more and more like it wasn't just missing person case, Lucy getting a call from Jay. That's what I think. So why the lies? To hide the, I'm going to say it, allegedly criminal involvement of Brandon and Brad and many others. Just keep it as innocent 18-year-old sweet Lucy at the NRG festival, and more money will come rolling in. Start mention any male Brit youngsters wheeling and dealing or doing whatever in Tenerife, and it ain't going to get that much cash. More questions will be asked, is my take. And keep in mind, when Lucy recalls that phone call she got off Jay, that she never did get, it is a really bad lie. Remember, DCI Higson told us exactly what happened. The only call that was made between Jay and Lucy was from Jay, or Jay's phone up in the mountains, to Lucy for a very short period of time, 2 minutes or so phone call just before the phone died and Jay is gone. This 8:30 phone call, yeah, never happened. No, it didn't happen. That was Brandon. And keep in mind, if Lucy had been honest in this GoFundMe, she would have had to say, as we heard in the inquest, that Jay never said he was in any trouble. Jay never said that he needed rescuing. Jay never said there was any threat. All he said to Lucy was, "I can't go back there. I can't go back there." And the argument from the accident group means, well, the argument is that doesn't necessarily mean it's a threat. I can't go back there mean I'm lost. I can't find it. I can't go back there. Well, in that case, if the only reason Jay's saying I can't go back there is because he lost, then there was no threat. So that brings us to why, if there's no threat, Jay never asked for any help, Jay was laughing and joking. Why the panic? Oh, because all of a sudden, after everything being fine, just like magic, that last phone call is a desperate one. And it's Lucy that has to report how desperate it is. Not buying it, not buying it at all. If Jay were in any kind of trouble whatsoever, he would have mentioned it to his other two friends. He doesn't. In my book, he doesn't mention anything to Lucy. But the only way to get this GoFundMe rolling is, of course, to describe things in really dire terms, and that's what happened. But given that Lucy lied so much in the GoFundMe and other places, oh, why did anyone, any adult, I mean, it's quite understandable that some of her mental age, 18-year-olds, teenager mental age, and those that really are that age would believe her. But grown adults, responsible adults believing her after the GoFundMe lies, why would they? But we have quite a long list. We have Mark Williams Thomas. I mean, he questioned her, but he didn't really press her on what were obvious lies in the GoFundMe. Williams Thomas had a different angle, but he didn't really come out and say it was clear to him that Lucy in particular was lying when she tried to account for what happened. Mark Williams Thomas, I believe, was fooled to a certain extent. El Slugtardo in West Wales, he had the wool pulled over his eyes. Not a difficult thing to do, I must say. And we suspect there may well be something more to this relationship between El Slugtardo and Miss Lucy. Looking good, gal, bossing it. That kind of sticks in the mind, doesn't it? But yeah, Sluggy out there saying the reason Lucy didn't go to help anyone because she was told by the lying Guardia Civil not to go there, that a helicopter would sort all this out. Why would the professor from Pisspot University believe that? Knowing Lucy lied in the GoFundMe, why would he then believe liar Lucy when she said all this nonsense about called them 10 times, helicopter on the way? I was told to sit tight, Miss Lucy, helicopter coming. Why did Sluggy believe that? Man of the world. But he did. The media did too. Don't think the media ever came out and started saying this Lucy May Gregory Law person is one hell of a liar. How many whoppers did she tell in this GoFundMe? I don't think the media gave it any great attention. Always the exception that we have to bow down to is Sonia Poulton, along with Peter Hyatt there. They did have a good look at it and concluded, of course, it was bullshit aplenty, but no media beyond that really looked at it. Why not? Why did they assume this all must be true? The coroner. Do we have to go any further than just saying Dr. James Adderley had the wool pulled over his eyes? Well, only for the 1 millionth time, maybe. Yeah, he didn't see anything off with this whole GoFundMe thing. And now we have Debbie Duncan. At least in her defense, Debbie Duncan early doors was like, why didn't Lucy go there? And we know there was this gulf. There was very sparse contact between Lucy and Debbie. And that makes sense because Debbie would have always thought, Lucy, why didn't you go and help? But apparently now, into year 3, Debbie's concluded she was wrong. She should have always trusted that Lucy did the right thing. She should have always trusted that Lucy told the truth 100% of the time. She should have always been on Lucy's side. That has been a moment of illumination for Debbie, only of late. Bullshit. I want to turn to the word help. I want to turn to the word help because in trying to defend Lucy, Debbie, in that Mirror interview, tried to say, it didn't work, but Debbie Duncan tried to say that Lucy didn't, in fact, in her 10 phone calls, count them 10, to the authorities, say that she was reporting a missing person. Debbie's argument was Lucy only asked them for help in finding him. Help in finding him. Now, I don't know what you think, but when someone asks for help, to me, it implies that that person has done all that they can to start with, and it hasn't worked. They need assistance from others to achieve the goal. But the word help in my vocabulary means the first person that has tried to achieve a certain goal hasn't got there. They need others to come together and make a concerted effort as a whole. That's what help is. For example, if I can't find the keys to the house and I say I need help, I only say that once I've had a darn good look myself or I've tried to figure it out. I don't just go to someone saying I need help finding my keys. Oh, by the way, I haven't myself tried to find them, but I'm asking you to help. I would say I'm too damn incompetent, lazy, or useless to find my own keys. So I'm asking you to do that job for me. That's not helping. That's delegating or assigning a job to someone else. So my point here is Lucy never asked for help, Debbie, because Lucy never tried herself to find Jay. What Lucy did was demand that someone else find Jay, because Lucy herself, even though she's wise enough to set up a GoFundMe, had no idea how to get into a taxi and find Jay, even though she had the precise location, the name of the road, exactly on her screenshot. Any taxi driver in Tenerife seeing that screenshot would see El Turron, look it up, and know that area and be able to get there. That is the truth. Forget what Lord Lugworm has said about, just a straight line road could be anywhere. No, no, as the name right there, any taxi driver would have got Lucy there immediately. And as many people have pointed out, these two things can happen simultaneously. Lucy can be in a taxi with a taxi driver going to El Turron, looking for that kink in the road to see where Jay is, and be calling the police asking for help. And then she would be asking for help because she's doing all she can to resolve the situation, but she needs assistance. Sat down on your fat ass in some kind of holiday apartment, calling the police repeatedly to say, you go and look for him because I don't want to, or I don't feel like it, or for some reason I'm too young, helpless, and I can't, doesn't wash with me. So, Debbie, no, Lucy never did ask for help from the police. She told the police that they are the ones that have to go and look and find Jay because she ain't going to do it. That is the reality. Now, Debbie, if you've decided to embrace this person that stepped back and said she ain't doing it, some other person can do it, that is your decision. But it makes you look very weak, very dishonest, and I would say very conniving to suddenly embrace Liar Lucy. Debbie said Lucy told me things I didn't even know. But I thought Debbie said she had all the answers. She'd read the 600 pages. It was all an accident. What additional information could Lucy have possibly given someone that knew all the answers? I don't know. If we added Lucy's new information to the 600-page report, would it have been a 1,000-page report? How much information did Lucy give that Debbie didn't even know? We will never be told that. It's just bullshit. It's just, more information. I won't tell you what it is, but believe me, it was more information. So, I've got a feeling this new found good feeling between Debbie and Lucy is not what it seems. After all this time, it's a pact, it's an agreement, an unholy alliance. That's all it is. I'll agree not to drag your name through the mud. I'll agree not to contact Duncan and tell him what I know. I'll agree to all this, and you'll agree to do the same. We'll back each other, even though it's based on lies. It's a house of cards. It's all nonsense, but we'll back each other. It's an evil compromise, but it serves our purposes. Just my take. Allegedly, that's what I see. All right, let's leave it there. Debbie Duncan, Lucy, on the same page, or just agreeing to disagree quietly. Hasta luego, adios, hasta la vista. See you next time.